Mine is so spectacular. Open up your aperture. You don't like the light that I be shining, bitch, you Dracula. Southern draw vernacular. Flip you like a spatula. Knew that I was built to put this word up on my scapula. I've been on this road so long, my tires bald. I don't wanna text and no, I don't wanna call. Came in this shit running, bitch, I don't know how to crawl. We ain't never folding, I'm holding the highest card. Look, okay, grew up running post routes. Now I'm on the cash route. Better call the plumber, that boy spitting like a bass spout. All these bad women in this club, fuck is you mad about? Word to all my estheticians, boy, I'm about to lash out. Straight from St. John's to the east side. Jigging since the knee high. Watch the way I put on for my state, nigga, yeehaw. Respecting no everything. Crazy how I made it to the league from the bleach eyes. Boy, my shit hair on. Black, rich, and bare arms. Smoking on that yogi, this shit stronger than some bare arms. Goku, I'm in rare form. You cannot prepare for him. When I swing, it's like a carnivore. This shit ain't fair for him. Brought intellect back to this rap shit. You niggas need chapstick. Ship and drop for way too long, and I'm the matchstick. You niggas Nickelodeon me. I'm more like Cap Nick. Cap a nigga, throw him in front of me. Party favors on the table, you can pick and choose. I would be lying if I said that I don't get confused. I'm just a player in the game and I don't pick the rules. Why trouble always seem to find the ones with shit to lose. About to blow like we just lit the fuse. We double dutch into this dough, I get this shit in twos. Push the button, get it started, put that shit in cruise. A little dust up on his heart, I barely get to use. A fool flatters himself, a wise man flatters a fool. Man, I just came to get it started like mechanics with tools. Cause in my hood, if you don't pack a tool, you planning to lose. These young boys deserve Oscars, they be acting a fool. A couple loose screws, but they hammer accurate. Ooh, I know some niggas stuck on drugs and manufacture it too. School of hard knocks, we all got our bachelor's food. No cap and gowns, but we all had the master. Party favors on the table, you can pick and choose. I would be lying if I said it, I don't get confused. I'm just a player in the game and I don't pick the rules. Why trouble always seem to find the ones with shit to lose. I'm lit, it's about to be a late night. Fresh wax, shawty, show me what it tastes like. Niggas know me in my city like I'm Wayne Wright. Got them looking up to me and we the same height. Ooh, I got it bad, deep in my bag. Foot on the gas, they cannot last. Swimming with the sharks, bitch, that's a great white. Never stopping, we don't even need no break light. Say she don't smoke, but she always smoke with me, yeah. Back with Finny, yeah, back up in the ovaries, yeah. All my ops, they stay running like they over easy, yeah. Even my masseurs can't just get too close to me, yeah. Shout out to Next, soon as the ink dry, we count out the checks, yeah. I never flex, I bought up a business, you bought up a section. I'm at the top of my class, yeah. Y'all never learned from your lessons. Skywalker gave me the force, yeah. Turn this into an obsession, yeah. I couldn't wait on the team, cooking shit up with just me run play, yeah. Things never are what they seem, but we know the facts, yeah. Charging that shit to the game, but now I pull up with a battery pack, yeah. The bigger they are, the harder they fall, and we can just leave it at that. I'm dumb lit, it's about to be a late night. Fresh wax, shawty, show me what it tastes like. Niggas know me in my city like I'm Wayne Wright. Got them looking up to me and we the same height. Ooh, I got it bad, deep in my bag. Foot on the gas, they cannot last. Swimming with the sharks, bitch, that's a great white. Never stopped and we don't even need no brake lights. Big bro, why they call you big bro? Every time we hit the bank, we deposit zip codes. Well connected with the streets like we out in Skid Row.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull-Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, a.k.a. B. Just before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull-Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of our YouTube videos, hit that like button. Y'all come in here. Hit the share, subscribe, hit that Cash App, $Slick Rick 1991 Sun, $Slick Rick 1991 Sun, as well as our Cash App. If you guys do not have Cash App, y'all can go to also our super stickers and super comments that are available. Very, very simple. All you guys got to do is make sure you guys hit that $sign symbol in the chat box. Y'all can donate that way as well. As we donate, y'all make sure y'all, continuously support by getting those membership badges that are available. You guys get full access. I just released my new video, episode 1 for LA Clippers backstage access, what I do during the game. On my way to the game, I get a chance to see what California looks like a little bit in LA. If y'all never been out here, y'all see me driving in the car. Y'all see the outside with the palm trees. We get to the arena. Y'all see where I park at, where I eat at. The arena a little bit, behind the stage, backstage, and all that stuff around the players and the locker room, stuff like that. So it's really, really cool. In the interview room, media room, all that good stuff. So if y'all want to get that access, make sure you guys get that membership badge, because I just put that video on the membership badge tab. So you must be a member now to view that video. But let's get it going. We're going to talk about it right now, man. The Clippers. I'm sorry, not the Clippers. I'm tripping. We have a discussion that we need to talk about. And, I came upon, a comment that was, my comment box earlier today, speaking about somebody that we just talked about. And what's funny is I was just thinking about this conversation earlier today, because we had a live yesterday and we got on this discussion. And I'm going to let y'all see the comment real quick. All right. So we had a good discussion. Me and the fellas, a few of the guys on the panel the other day, had a good discussion after the Clipper game, about a 5-hour live. It was our last live we did, LA Clipper Talk. Had a, good shout out to my man, Old Man, Monty, Mike, Kirk, JM, and, amongst other people, even Mad Max. We all had a discussion. And it went from Clipper talk into, GOAT talk to, Kobe talk to LeBron talk, right? Now, when you talk about the GOAT debate, it's all your opinion. It's all what you say, whatever you value, this, that, and the other, yada, yada, yada. So it's always going to be an ongoing discussion on who's the GOAT. Now, as far as the masses and the numbers and the, players and fans and critics, they got Michael Jordan as the undefeated GOAT as far as the percentages go, based off of a number of things: resume, accomplishments, championships, skills, mindset, clutch moments, like everything. Jordan pretty much has the least amount of, faults, and that includes, even if you try to nitpick, because that's what it has to come down to when you do a discussion like that. You're going to nitpick certain things. And when you even nitpick with Jordan, it's very, very tough to find the flaws. The biggest flaw you can say is that he took a break and, didn't get 2 championships out of it. But he went on 2 3-peats in the same decade, right? So there's this discussion now that, amongst me and my personal opinion, the media, who have this, made this discussion about LeBron James at this point being behind Jordan at number 2. That's been the discussion at this point. So I had a, comment after the show, and, said, in the comment y'all can see, it says, in defense of LeBron, 4 out of the 10 times he was in no-win situations. 2007, he wasn't beating the prime dynasty Spurs by himself. 2015, Kyrie, I think he means Kyrie, and Love were out. 2017 and 2018, nobody's winning against the Warriors team. They were the most powerful team the NBA has ever seen. So it said 4 times he got it done, and only 2 times where he and his teams straight up failed in the finals. Okay. So, like I said, make sure y'all smash that like button, because it's going to be a good show for y'all today or this morning. So, like I said, we're going to talk about it. Obviously, the discussion that, came about was, I was in defense, and we got into this discussion with, LeBron James, and I felt like him being in the top 5 really goes to the point of just, that's where I place LeBron James at, in the top 5. I don't put him in the top 2 or top 3. Like some of the media pundits and Monty and, Mike and I guess Mad Max. It's pretty popular amongst the masses to have LeBron James, especially in his, era. He's still playing at 40 years old, and may I add, play at a high level for his age. And and he's, present. So people in this age really look at LeBron James as really up there. Some of them even put him over Jordan, right? The millennials, the guys between 18 and 23, 24 ain't really watched Kobe, ain't really watched Mike, ain't really watched, Kareem or Magic. And, before that, they haven't really watched these people. Now, the biggest argument that people had for, the GOAT debate was simply finals wins and losses. That was the number one key component. Why is that? Because you look at guys like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Hell, if you even go up even further, Bill Russell, those players were judged by their championships first and foremost. Now, other things came after that: accomplishments, accolades, level of competition, skill set, style of play, everything like that. You know what I'm saying? Everything, went strictly to championships number one. So now I'm going to put on the screen right here, as y'all can see. This is a chart of, some of the great players that we have right here. Of course, two of them, Steph Curry and KD, are still playing. But these are the finals wins and loss records right here. And, as y'all can see on this list, you got LeBron in the left, you got Shaq next to LeBron, Steph next to Shaq, Kobe next to Steph, KD next to Kobe, and then Mike at the end. So this is their finals win and loss record right here. So looking at this, as y'all can see, everyone last these players, if y'all see, they have in common, they have wins and losses, they have a winning percentage, yada, yada, yada. But everyone outside LeBron has something that he doesn't have, and that's a better win-loss percentage, meaning they've won more than they've lost in the finals. You got Shaquille O'Neal, won 17 times and lost 13. I'm talking about games. You got Steph Curry, who's won 17 out of 28 games. You got Kobe Bryant, who won, look at 23 out of, 47 games? 23 out of 47 games. And you got KD won 10 out of 15 games. And then Jordan won 24 out of 35 games. As y'all come here, smash that like button. But they all have a winning percentage over 50%. Now, I don't know if this is updated for LeBron. I think this may be that because they don't put the bubble in there. So even if you put the bubble, let's say that you add 4 more wins to the 18, that's 22, and you add 2 more losses, that's 22 and 33, right? It's still a losing percentage to this point, right? So that's what we have to go by. And then as you go down, Michael Jordan at 68%, Tim Duncan 67%, 23 out of 34 wins, right? 19 seasons, 6 finals appearances, 5 rings. He's won 5 out of 6 championships, right? Jordan won all 6 championships, went 6 for 6. Tim Duncan was the only player in that top 5, top 10 that was right there as well. Bill Russell had 11 rings out of 12 appearances. I don't put Bill Russell in this conversation because he wasn't in the modern day era. The modern day era is the 1980s and beyond. When you start talking about the 60s and 70s, the rules were so different. The amount of teams were different. The game was different. It just becomes too much complicated when you start putting the pioneers like Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, guys like that, Bob Cousy, even Jerry West in this conversation, because it becomes too much. You got to start, looking at the rules and stuff. I respect their era, but I don't put them, with the modern day era. Just put it like that. Kobe Bryant, 62%. Right, went to 7 championship finals appearances, won 5 of them. Steph Curry went to 3 championships. He has 4 rings. I'm sorry. So this was an update. So he has 4 rings, and it went 6 times. Right, so he's 4-2 finals record. Hakeem Olajuwon 2-1 in the top 10. Shaquille O'Neal, he's 4-2 in the finals. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 6-4 in the finals, has won more than he's lost. Larry Bird 3-2 in the finals, right? 13 seasons, 5 finals appearances, 3 championships. You got Magic Johnson 9 appearances, won 5 of them, 5-4, winning percentage. Now, this one it starts getting tricky. Now you start getting into Wilt Chamberlain and Julius Erving, great players. Jerry West went to 8 finals and lost. It went to 9 finals and won one of them. And then here comes LeBron James, right? Like I said, it was an update here. So he went to 4. He's 4-6 in the finals, right? These guys, they're still great. But part of the reason, like a guy like Jerry West ain't in the conversation, because his statistics are there. Y'all can see averaging 30 points a game for his career in the finals, right? The stats are there. The appearances are there. But God rest his soul, the one thing that tormented Jerry West was that finals record. So these players play the game to win. So that's how I measure GOATs. I look at everything, but the number one thing is your finals wins and losses. Now, let me say something real quick. I want to pull up that comment again. Pull up that comment because it's important to point this out. Now, because from what y'all seen in the top 10, from Jordan to Kareem to Kobe to Magic to Tim Duncan to Shaq to Hakeem to Steph to Oscar Robertson, Hakeem Olajuwon, and then LeBron James, all these dudes outside of LeBron have one thing in common. They have a winning finals record. So what we have done is now try to take away his finals losses for him to fit the discussion, which is something I haven't seen nobody in the top 10 have to do. And this guy right here is saying LeBron James was in a no-win situation for, 4 out of his 10 finals, which we're going to talk about. We're going to break this all down because we got to put things in perspective when we say stuff. We can't edge guys out and make them part of the criteria if they don't fit. So what I want to do is I want to show y'all, because I ain't done nothing like this before. I really didn't have the intention to do it, but this is my opportunity. I feel like I need to actually put this on Front Street. So y'all sit back and relax on what's about to happen. So let's go to the first finals LeBron James went to. In 2006 and 2007 was his first finals, right? Fourth year in the league. LeBron James gets to the finals against the San Antonio Spurs. And they lose in approximately, they get swept. They get beat in 4 games. Now, as y'all can see right here, 2007 NBA Finals, the Cavaliers and the Spurs. This was LeBron James' 4th year in the league. Very impressive. LeBron James was definitely, on top of the league at that time, behind Kobe Bryant, which I'm going to actually mention. Not just Kobe Bryant, but also guys like Tim Duncan, who beat him. Guys like, Dirk Nowitzki, who was the MVP this season, right? Not only was LeBron James behind Kobe Bryant, he was behind those players I just named. He was behind Dwayne Wade, quiet as kept, right? Dwayne Wade had won a championship at this point, the year before. He was already looked at as a playoff performer at the highest level. He took his team to the finals and won. Remember, let's also put something in perspective before I continue. Dwayne Wade and LeBron came into the same draft class. Let me repeat that again. Dwayne Wade and LeBron James came into the same draft class. Dwayne Wade got his Miami Heat team to the playoffs in his second season. Or was it his first season? Yes, it was his first season. He got his team to the playoffs. And they beat the Charlotte Hornets. On the other side, LeBron James, his first 2 seasons, they didn't even make the playoffs in the first 2 years. And then Dwayne Wade turns around and wins a championship against a Dallas Mavericks team who had more talent, right? Who I think had a better record in the regular season than Miami. Shaquille O'Neal underperformed that series. He was not even. I don't think he was even an all-star. Dwayne Wade carried that team in his third season. LeBron was behind him. There is this notion that it was LeBron and Kobe. LeBron wasn't past Dwayne Wade. He wasn't past Tim Duncan. He wasn't past Dirk Nowitzki. So let's first put that out there. Now, the following season, the Cavs face the Spurs, and they get beat all 4 games. Now, the first thing I want to bring up again is what this guy said, that 06 and 07, LeBron James had no chance. He wasn't beating the prime dynasty Spurs by himself. Let's talk about this. There's this notion that the Cavs were so much of a trash team. Well, first of all, you can't be a trash team if you make it to the finals. I don't know any team in NBA history was called trash that made it to the finals. You might be average or you might be at a disadvantage, but you're not trash. You won 50, 60 plus games. You're not trash. That's another media narrative. But that's what they put out there to try to up LeBron and discredit his team to make him better than what he is. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's look at this roster. Is this such bad roster that the Cleveland Cavaliers had in 06 and 07? As y'all come here and hit that like button. So this is the roster right here for 06 and 07. I hope that y'all can see this. Now, before we go to the players, like I said, they went to the playoffs. They swept the Washington Wizards. They beat the New Jersey Nets. And they beat the Detroit Pistons. And they got to the finals against the Spurs. That season, the Cavs they were 4th in the league in defense. 4th in the league in defense that year. 5th in the league in opponents' points per game, meaning that they allowed the fewest points by their opponent throughout the whole entire regular season. They finished that year 50 and 32, 2nd in the Central Division. So you're top 5 in defense and you're top 5 in defensive rating in the opponent's points scored. That means you're elite defensively. Offensively, yes, you are below average at 18th in the league. But guess what? That doesn't equal trash. That doesn't equal trash. That equals you as a competitive team in the Eastern Conference. Right? Mike Brown was the head coach of that team. Mike Brown just won Coach of the Year a couple years ago. This is a guy that a lot of people look at him as a great coach. That's who LeBron James had, which I'm about to also dispound this narrative that this guy never had a great coach. You had Paul Silas. You had Mike Brown. You had, what's the guy that, they were the first seed. They're the first seed before they got Tyronn Lue. They were the first seed before they fired him. He was a good coach. Right? You had Frank Vogel, who went to the conference finals 2 separate times in Indiana. You had a great coach. A playoff caliber coach, and you won a championship with him in 2020. And then you had Eric Spoelstra, who's one of the top 3 coaches today. As y'all come here and smash that like button. So you didn't have trash coaches, and you didn't have a trash team. That team actually fit LeBron James' style of play very, very well. A young team with defense, and just like Luka Doncic, just like James Harden, LeBron James tends to strive more without other stars around him. As weird as that may sound, especially in his younger years. LeBron James strived with more, the ball was in his hands. The system revolved around him. He got a chance to do whatever he wanted with the ball, and everybody else do their roles. That was the best type of teams that were surrounding LeBron James. It wasn't until he got to Miami he learned how to really play basketball. All this stuff I'm speaking, y'all can actually look up. But let's go into this roster that was so bad. First roster you had Daniel Gibson, sharpshooter. Now, People say Daniel Gibson was so bad, that he was such a, a horrible player, right? So people say Daniel Gibson is so terrible, huh? That's what my man Monty said. Oh, the Cavs took him with a sorry Daniel Gibson. He took him to the finals, BJ, with a sorry Daniel Gibson. Well, I want to retrace back to that finals, that historic conference finals against the Detroit Pistons the round earlier, right? Now, this is what people will talk about all day. That game 5 performance where LeBron had 48 points, and I think he had like 20-something points from that fourth quarter into overtime, which was definitely needed. It was a magnificent performance. I think he scored like 25 points in a row, something like that, something crazy in the Palace, which they didn't have Ben Wallace. They weren't the same team as they was the season before, but they were still a playoff caliber team. You still had the whole core. But Ben Wallace, the reason why LeBron's getting them line drives to the basket is because Big Ben wasn't on the team no more. He was moved to, I can't recall the team, but he was moved to a different team. So all them line drives, LeBron was going to the basket. Big Ben wasn't there to alter them or at least contest them. It was line drives by Antonio McDyess who were trying to, stop him. And then you got Rasheed Wallace, but they just wasn't just enough, right? But 48 points is 48 points. But they don't talk about the game 6 performance where that same bum, Daniel Gibson, led all scorers to take the Cavs, right, to the NBA Finals. You don't hear about that. Y'all can see right here, D. Gibson, 31 points. So Daniel Gibson came to play in the closeout game. You can't be a bum when you show up for games that have pressure situations like this, right? Daniel Gibson had 31 off the bench, right? 31 points off the bench. LeBron James had 20 points and shot 27% from the field in a closeout game, which I'm going to go into this, why I tell y'all this clutch really matters, this clutch gene. Because this ain't the first time. You're going to see in the next series what I'm talking about. But this man shot 27% from the field in a closeout game against the Cavs, against the Spurs, or against the Pistons. Had it not been for Daniel Gibson's performance, shooting 77% from the field, 100% from the three of 5 attempts, and 80% from the line, the Cavs might have been going back to the Palace for a game 7. They probably would have lost that game. But see, you don't hear this type of story. You hear that LeBron James had the game 5. Well, what about game 6? What happened after that? Well, what happened is LeBron James struggled and he had somebody pick up his weight off the bench. So no, Daniel Gibson wasn't trash. Daniel Gibson closed out the series. So you had Daniel Gibson on that team, who is a prime shooter. Let's see who else he got. I'm going to take my time with this. I'm going to take my time with all this. So now that we got Daniel Gibson out the way, he's not a bum. Obviously, I think we can check that off the list. Shannon Brown, right? Shannon Brown, y'all know Shannon Brown, TNT legs, won a championship 2 years later with, you guessed it, Kobe beating Bryant, which now that I think about it, his second year, if he wasn't on that 08 team, I can't remember if Shannon Brown was on that 08 team, but if he was, that would mean LeBron had a rookie on his bench that could contribute, and he wasn't no bum. Definitely wasn't no bum, right? Jonas Ilgauskas, their center, 7'3", 2 years prior, was an all-star in the NBA. He was 31 years old. He wasn't an all-star at this point, but he wasn't no bum. Good stretch three-point shooter, good mid-range shooter. He would be considered a guy like Jonas Valanciunas in today's game. A stretch big. That's what he would be like. He'd be perfect for this era. Right? You had a young Drew Gooden, right? Who I think in that finals was second on the team in scoring. in the finals, if I'm not mistaken, or in the regular season. Right? He wasn't a bum. You had defensive players, like I said, that top 5 defensive rating that everybody says that the Cavs are such a horrible team. You can't be a horrible team when you're top 5 in defense and you win over 50 games. Daniel Marshall, Larry Hughes in his 8th season, one of the best defensive players of that time. Right? You had Anderson Varejao. Right? Anderson Varejao, who is actually top 3 in 6 Man of the Year award, 6 Man of the Year race. I know people ain't gonna understand this, but he was averaging 7 points and 7 rebounds a game as a bench player. That's pretty good. He was top 3 in 6 Man of the Year. And also, a few years later, he was on the all-defensive team. So I'm just putting out here all these players that LeBron James that people call bums. Right? They weren't bums. They were solid rotational pieces that fit around LeBron and fit around him pretty well, I might add. And you had a up-and-coming elite coach in Mike Brown. They purposely built this team around LeBron to succeed. And that's what it comes down to. See, LeBron should have stuck to the same script, having teams built around him instead of getting all these stars on one team, which he found out didn't work, only but so much. But they were building a team around him, which had he stood pat and actually come through in the clutch like he was supposed to, which we're about to talk about right now, then he would have had a championship without having to jump to Miami. Now let's go into the finals again. Let me just go, like I said, I'm going through these finals, losses, and wins. I'm taking my time. This might be a long video, but y'all going to understand where I'm coming from. So I want to bring up the first finals loss and win real quick. So let's go into the series against the Spurs, right? So you get swept, right? And the narrative is, like my man said, you're going up against an all-dynasty team. Okay, from y'all see the screen, y'all see 76 to 85, 92 to 103, 75 to 72, and 83 to 82. Now, for you guys do not know, watching this series, this is a very winnable series from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Very winnable. Okay, this is a very winnable series. And if the Cavs' best player, as y'all can see, showed up, then they probably would have won at least a game or two. But the way they got swept, people think that was such a mismatch. No, the games were all close games. They weren't getting blown out by 15, 20 points. So what was happening? I'll tell y'all what was happening. In the clutch moments, the Spurs' best player showed up, Tony Parker, who won that series, and the other team's best player did not show up. Tony Parker scored 24 points a game off of shooting splits of 56, 52, and 57. Over 50% from 2, over 50% from 3, and over he shot a bad percentage from the line. I'm sorry. Tony Parker was horrible from the free throw line, 52%, but from the field and from the three-point line, he was excellent. Right? I don't see how a guard shoots 52%. That's mind-boggling to me. That's crazy. But all in all, Tony Parker was the Finals MVP, which means he's out. He made the big shots. He took the Spurs home. And that's the truth of what really happened in that series. Meanwhile, on the other side, LeBron James, the first time he went to the finals, struggled. 22 points a game. His rebounds were down. His assists were down. Of course, his steals and blocks. Everything was down. Because even around this time, you got to think, LeBron, with the minutes he was playing, because this is the one thing people go to when they talk about his debate, they talk about his numbers and his statistics. But they have to realize the minutes that he plays with the time he has the ball in his hand and the system he plays in gives him the opportunity to produce all these crazy stats. A la Luka Doncic, a la James Harden. Because they control the offense so more on the balls in their hands. Hell, even Russell Westbrook, these triple doubles in his, OKC days. Jokic. When they have the ball in their hands with so much time and the usage rate is so high, you're getting more opportunities to do what you want with the basketball. That's why I don't look at stats but so much. I say this all the time. When you go to a workout, when you go to a combine, when you go to something where a scout comes see you play, they don't just look at a stat sheet. They come to watch you physically with your eyes. You know why? Because they need to see the stats, how you accumulate the stats. Can you play in a system? What is your skill set like? What is your body language like when things don't go your way? When things are good, are you a leader? Do you like all these things cannot measure by the stat sheet? And that's what they have done with LeBron James' career. They've made it where you look at the stat sheet to see how good he is, but they don't look at the other things. But some of the things you can also look at with the stat sheet is just how bad he shot from the field in the three-point line. 35% and 20% from three. Right? Your leader didn't show up. Your leader scored 22 points a game. Your leader got outplayed by the other team's best player who scored 24 points per game. Your leader got outplayed in the clutch. That's on him. That ain't got nothing to do with how talented his team was. His team was top 5 defensively. As y'all can see by these scores, the Spurs weren't sitting up there just calculating 105, 110 points. They cracked 100 points one game. The Cavs defensively did a good job on the Spurs. They didn't have somebody to counteract by scoring the basketball because you had a guy who was a below average shooter, which I'm going to talk about in the next series against the Dallas Mavericks, why they beat him, could not shoot in the mid-range, and had holes in his game in his 4th season. Fine. But don't come back and tell me the Cavs are so terrible, because that's not what happened. What happened was the Cavs' best player, LeBron James, didn't have the skill set, didn't have the mindset, and could not overcome the Spurs scheming, which forced him to be an outside shooter to win that series. See, every time LeBron, if you look at his finals, every time he's lost, it's come to one or two reasons. He plays a player that's better than him, or he plays a better coach, or a better system, or a player who outplays him. Those are the two things that you look at his losses and wins. Either the player outplayed him from a statistical standpoint, or in the clutch, or a team schemed for him against his weaknesses. So no, you don't get. That's not a good. You don't get a pass for 07. You lost because you didn't show up in the clutch like you were supposed to. As y'all come here, smash that like button. And you did not have horrible teammates. You know what's funny? People talk about how bad that 06-07 team was, but if you look at the team Kobe had the year before, 05-06, that same team that had the Phoenix Suns, who were the second seed in the Western Conference, had them down 3-1. They gave up that 3-1 lead. That team was worse than the LeBron James team had. It was worse record-wise. It was in a tougher conference. And if y'all can look at even the offensive and defensive rating, the defensive rating was in the middle of the pack. An average defensive team, and the offense was only geared to what Kobe Bryant did that season, averaging 35 points per game, who was the leading scorer in the NBA. That's what upped their offensive rating. From a talent perspective, you had Smush Parker as the point guard. Smush Parker is a borderline overseas player and NBA player, and it was in his second season, right? You had a Kwame Brown guy who people call him a bust, but I don't think he's a bust. I just think that, he had immense pressure about it, but he wasn't a bust. You had Kwame Brown. You had Andrew Bynum, who years later became, a good player, very good player for them, but never was even an all-star. He was a rookie at this time. You had Brian Cook, Devin George, Devin Green, Jim Jackson, an old Jim Jackson, Aaron McKee, who was equivalent to Eric Snow in Cleveland for LeBron, Slava Medvedenko, no. Chris Mim, no. Lamar Odom, nice, good player. Smush Parker, second-year player. Ronnie Turioff, rookie. Sasha Vujicic, one-year player. Von Wafer, one-year player. Luke Walton is second. Bro, not only were these guys production-wise average, but they were inexperienced. None of these guys were all-stars ever. LeBron had Julius Ilgauskas, and he had Anderson Varejao, who was on the all-defensive team. Right? Now the Lakers have Phil Jackson, but from a talent perspective, don't tell me about what LeBron didn't have. Don't come to me with that. Now let me try to speed this up a little bit. Y'all come and hit that like button. So that's the 2006-2007 NBA Finals. He lost because he did not show up. Now, let's get to the one where it's the most documented. Let's get to this 2011 NBA Finals between the Mavericks and the Heat. Now, we all know what happened. We all know what went down. Now, my guy didn't make an excuse for this one, but I'm gonna highlight this one time, and I'm gonna highlight one time only because it's important of just how bad this was. Okay, so you're already 0-1 in the finals. Right now, you're going up against the Dallas Mavericks, who your first season, LeBron James, you said not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, yada, yada, yada. That was your claim. That's what you said. Okay? You came out and said you're going to win multiple championships with this team. That's what you said. You left Cleveland because you felt like the organization wasn't giving you enough help. Fair. That's fine. I have no issue with that. See, I'm not like, oh, he should have never left Cleveland, this, that, and the other. Look, he got you to the finals. He did everything he could do. He was younger. He was 25 years old of age. He made that decision. He thought it was the best decision for him. Cool. But now it's time for you to win and win consistently, keeping your word. You said 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Like you said that. So what does that mean? That means you felt comfortable stacking this team with 3. It was you, Dwayne Wade, who was a top 5 player at this time, who was better than you. Yes, Dwayne Wade at this time was better than you. He proved it in the finals. He proved it with a championship, and he proved it. He should have got the MVP a couple years before that. But you had a top 5 player, and then you got a Chris Bosh, who was an all-star of his own team in Toronto. You stacked that team. That's why you said what you said. So now that whole you ain't got no help goes out the window. But let's look at what happened. What happened was you got beat 4-2 against a Dallas Mavericks team who wasn't even fully healthy. Remember, the Mavericks didn't have Caron Butler. Caron Butler was their second leading scorer that year. Caron Butler didn't play in the finals that year. That was the Mavericks' second leading scorer. Now, the reason why I point that out is because there's this notion that you can't win if you get injured players. But I'm going to let y'all see what happened and what was said in this series because it's very prevalent. Now, the way Miami lost was such a crying shame because of the way LeBron performed. That's why nobody can sit up here and come back at me when they talk about, these losses when it comes to LeBron James. No, you can't defend what happened in 2011. That was arguably That was probably the worst performance in NBA Finals history, and that's just being real. But let me let y'all hear what the owner of the Mavericks said that they did to nullify LeBron, and why I say when you talk about a person's game, you got to put everything in perspective. So let's hear what Mark Cuban had to say.
And then we can have a discussion about adjustments. Like last year, did we play harder than the Heat? Is that what you think it was?
No, I don't. I think LeBron disappeared and shrank in crunch time of the fourth quarter, and I can just show you the numbers of what he didn't do in every fourth quarter.
So we get no credit for not putting him in a position to succeed, right?
So before I let this continue, Mark Cuban at this time, as y'all can see, was the Mavericks owner, and he showed up on First Take the season after. This was a year that I'm going to go into the 2012 because I'm going to get into the wins as well with LeBron. I'm going to, talk about that. But Mark Cuban talked about how they defended LeBron James to make him uncomfortable. I'm going to pull up the numbers he averaged in that series. You would think this guy was a role player by the way that he played. Everybody that was there and was at that time and watched it saw what happened. But we need to break this down even more to do it justice, because this nonsense that this guy has been just giving us such an unfair advantage, that's BS. That's I'm not going to say the word. That's BS. Allow a guy that was around the team, actually was in the locker rooms of the opposing team, that actually made LeBron look like a role player, hear what he had to say.
We played the Heat.
He put himself in. All he did was stand out on the perimeter.
Now, how do you think we defended that? Why do you think he was standing out there?
You didn't have to defend it.
Oh, right. So no matter what we did, he was just going to stand there and do nothing.
Well, that's all I saw. That was a lot
That's
of
exactly
it.
right, Chip.
And I hope that
all
Dwayne
you
Wade
saw.
saved the day for him.
You're exactly right. That's all you saw. You didn't look, right? I mean, and that's a complete insult to us to say, you know what, the adjustments that we made.
What did you do to force him out there?
We had like 6, 7 different types of.
So this is where he explained what they did to LeBron, and this is very important because people think that LeBron just froze up and he shrunk, which he did. But there's a deeper meaning to it. Like when you talk about basketball, it's like anything. When you feel uncomfortable or you see something that you ain't seen before and you're kind of thrown off by it, you don't know what to do. But see, that's what goes into my case to why I say, and I gotta give a shout out to old man, that skills matter. Skills matter. Your eye test what you see. You can't look at the stat sheet. Because when you say to me throughout the season, you dominating 28 points per game, scoring at a high level, you're top 2, top 3 in the MVP race. I think he won the MVP this year in 11. Yeah, he did. No, Derrick Rose did. LeBron won in 12 and 13. But he was right there, I think, top 3 in MVP voting. When you tell me that he's doing all this in the regular season, right, and you got a top-ranked team at that time, and then you get to the finals and you see the stats that he produced, because you got to deal with a team now that, you don't play just one time or, play here and there. You got a team that can fully scout you for an entire series, an entire 2 weeks, right? 7 games, 6 games. Now they key on what you can't do and not marvel what you can do. So let's see what Mark Cuban had to say.
The matchups in our zone, right? And we played man-to-man, and we had a variety of different switches, right? So we knew that 90% of his shots were going to come from the left-hand side, right? We knew that if you gave him room from the left, he was going to drive. Now, we didn't have the athletes that Oklahoma City did, so we had to plan differently.
Sure.
So we need to make sure that we pushed him out away, and then we gave him different looks every time he had the ball, because just forcing him to make a decision, right? To think about what he had to do, taking the time to read. Are we in a zone? What type of zone we're in? How are we matching up? What type of rotations are we in? Making him think made them pass the ball around the perimeter, which gave us a chance to adjust, right? Now, they're smarter. They're a better team this year. They deserve to win this year. But, that's the way we played it. And so it wasn't just LeBron. LeBron actually played it right more often than not. He made the right pass to the right guy who didn't make the right play. And that's exactly what we wanted. We wanted to get the ball out of their hands and into the hands of somebody else. We wanted him to play Michael Jordan and make somebody play Steve Kerr. Now, last night, Mike Miller.
They had several Steve Kerrs.
They had everybody stepping up, and they deserved every bit.
So basically, what he's saying, they put LeBron in a zone. They put him in a matchup zone. They threw different defensive coverages to make him think. Right? So basically, they were looking for a hole to exploit him in. They did that. So when people say that Jason Terry was guarding him or JJ Barea was guarding him, how could you let Jason Kidd guard you and all this? It's deeper than that. The truth is, LeBron James was a below average shooter. So all you do when you talk about putting somebody in the zone is try to force him to shoot the basketball. That's why he brought up Mike Miller. That's why guys like Shane Battier were needed. That's why guys like Ray Allen were needed. You know what I'm saying? Mario Chalmers. Those guys were needed because they were guys who could stretch the 3-point shot when LeBron kicked the ball out to them. So you can't, you live and die, especially in his early years with LeBron shooting outside shots. Very similar to the Spurs. They schemed for him. But also LeBron James he still again wasn't clutch to close those games out. That's why they were so close and they were kept losing, because somebody wasn't closing them games out. That goes against you. That has nothing to do with your team. You didn't carry the fort. So that loss counts against you. This loss should count twice against you. Now, you just heard Mark Cuban basically say LeBron James couldn't shoot. So LeBron James, when you look at the numbers that he averaged that series, downright ridiculous, downright shameful, downright, if you want to say just an embarrassment, you can say that. LeBron James averaging 17 points a game. Didn't even crack 20 points per game in this series. Dwayne Wade showed up. He gave you 26 points a game. Right? He shot over 54% from the field. You know what I'm saying? Not great from the free throw line. I don't know why these guys can't shoot free throws. That's ridiculous. Dwayne Wade. If you want to ask, one of his main weaknesses was at the free throw line. Right? But no. D Wade proved he can beat Dallas before you got there. So like I said, for people to say LeBron James, it was him and Kobe. No. It was Kobe, Tim Duncan, Dwayne Wade, and then Dirk Nowitzki, and then LeBron James after this. See, LeBron was slowly creeping up these guys, but then Dirk Nowitzki did what he did in this series and took the mantle. At this point, Dirk Nowitzki deserved to be over LeBron at this particular point. Now, LeBron obviously took it back the next season, but at this particular point going into the season for the next season, Dirk Nowitzki was the best player in that series. He was the MVP a few years before that. Dirk Nowitzki was still in his, back end of his prime. So that's 2 losses on your mantle right there. You still ain't figured it out. Now, like I said, people want to get on Kevin Durant for leaving OKC to Golden State, but they don't want to talk about the same thing with LeBron, leaving Cleveland to Miami. So, obviously, his teammate, Dwayne Wade, being who he is, decided to speak about what was going on, what he told LeBron that summer after they lost the finals. In my personal opinion, just to up his confidence, because listen, D Wade to me is one of them type of people for LeBron that he understands what type of mentality he has. He looks at him as like a little brother, so he's always looking to protect him. So he'll put his pride aside for his so-called little brother to make him comfortable, and that's exactly what he did to at least get them their first championship, which was smart. But let me hear what you're Dwayne to say.
Savannah LeBron and a couple other friends of ours. Okay. And that was the trip where we started having different conversations. That was right after we lost. We had a couple weeks away, and then we had this trip plan. And we started having different conversations about why we lost, how we lost. Right. And I just was sitting there, as I always do. I sit and I listen, and I heard LeBron talk. And everything that I was getting from LeBron in that year, even though he had a great year, and even in that moment, was still hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I was like, okay, if we're going to reach the level that we're going to reach, and how I can help us is to take that hesitation out of one of the game's greatest players.
Mm-hmm.
Because I watched him play,
right,
and I know how he plays when he has no, I shot 2 in a row. D-Wade ain't
right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's human nature.
Right.
Hey, D-Wade ain't had a bucket in a while. No, bro, press on. You that dude. Go be that dude. We gonna do what we got to do to make sure that you good and we good. Because this is ultimately about what we all sat down and said we want to do. We said we want to win rings.
Right.
No one said that I need an extra endorsement or you needed extra this. We wanted to win rings. So for us to win rings in this day of age, you have to be who you are. And that's, besides Kobe, it's the game's greatest player.
Right.
And so,
Wait a minute. What did he say? Let me rewind that. I think I had wax in my ear. Let me rewind that.
in this day of age, you have to be who you are. And that's, besides Kobe, it's the game's greatest player.
Right. Did Dwayne Wade, LeBron James's teammate in 2011, did I just hear what I think I just heard? Did I hear Dwayne Wade say that outside of one Kobe Bean Bryant, you gotta be the greatest player in the league or in the world, whatever? See, that's why I keep trying to tell people this whole LeBron James was the best player. No. Stop. He wasn't the best player in the league until 2012. Not only did Dwayne Wade say it, but LeBron James said it 2 separate times. Dirk Nowitzki said it. Tim Duncan said it. Kevin Garnett said it in 2010 in the finals. During the finals, it was going on. KG said Kobe was the best player in the league. Dwayne Wade said that we teamed up to try to catch Kobe in rings. They have a video out with all NBA players speaking, his peers, that they has to go against day in and day out. Who is the top dog in the league? It was Kobe Bean Bryant, not LeBron James. He was pushed by the media at the late 2000s. And what you want to be honest and be real about it, the only reason LeBron was pushed was because Kobe got into the word R situation. Once Kobe's image got tarnished, they wanted to push LeBron James over him. But guess what? The players that deal with both of them saw what it really was. Because you got to remember, you got to be a squeaky clean image. And once Kobe got that charge on him, the NBA was out on him. He lost all of his endorsements with Sprite, McDonald's, and Nike. Man, Kobe was on top of the world before he got into that trouble. Same thing with Ja Morant. They talk about this face of the league. That's why I laugh at it. You know, salute to Monty and salute to Mad Max and salute to Mike and all them. But that don't mean shit. Face of the league. That's all the media try to push. They tried to push. The only reason LeBron even got close is because Kobe got in trouble. And that's really what it was. It had nothing to do with basketball. But Dwayne Wade told you Kobe was on top. But I want to get back to what he also said. What y'all are hearing is Dwayne Wade having to go to LeBron and tell him, like a little brother or somebody he cares about deeply, like, look, if we want to get to the promised land, we're going to need you to be the best version of yourself. And that shows how much, what's the word? I can't even think of the word, but basically he's security in himself. There you go. Dwayne Wade has security in himself because this is a guy at the time, as y'all saw the year before, he outplayed LeBron. So, but he said, let me take a backseat from myself. This guy's younger. This guy's more athletic. He's bigger. He's strong. Let me elevate him and let me still be a star. But I got to elevate this guy, not physically, but mentally. And that's what Dwayne Wade did to help him, which he gets no credit for. Basically, Dwayne Wade was to LeBron what Steph was to KD. Dwayne Wade won a championship before LeBron got there. Steph won a championship before KD got there. So why don't people treat, and KD got 2 championships with those 2 Finals MVPs in Miami or in Golden State, just like LeBron got 2 in Miami. It's the same thing. They took the same blueprint. But you want to penalize Kevin Durant, but you want to say how great LeBron James is and don't want to take away his titles. Pure hypocrisy. Nobody talks about how he did the same thing Kevin Durant did. You brought in the top 5 at that time. Dwayne Wade was a top 5, top 3 player in the league. You teamed up with him and you brought in Chris Bosh, who was an all-star caliber player. That's no different from what KD did going to Golden State to Steph's team. People want to yell out unanimous MVP. You still, Dwayne Wade and Steph Curry, they were both the same at that time period. Dwayne Wade was a top 3 player. Steph Curry was a top 3 player. Right there with Kawhi, right there with LeBron and KD in 2017, that realm in 2017 to 2019. Steph Curry was top 3, just like Dwayne Wade was top 3. You brought in Chris Bosh, who's better than Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. What's the difference? But you lost that finals. Now let's go to the one that he finally won. I'm taking my time on this. I'm telling you, I'm slow cooking. Now, when you finally win a championship, players, that's what they play for. It took this man 9 years to get the big one. And I want y'all to hear real quick what LeBron James said after winning this championship and how much it meant to him, and how when people say it's not about championships or it's a team accomplishment, it just sounds utterly ridiculous. So I'm gonna let y'all hear what LeBron had to say.
Zeros. What's the first thing that ran through your mind?
It's about damn time. It's about damn time.
Going back to last year's finals, the way it ended, the way you struggled, the ton of criticism that came your way in so many different ways, what's the one thing that was said or written that bothered you the most?
That I was selfish. That's the only thing that bothered me. That a lot of people said I was a selfish person, a selfish basketball player, and I strive on being a team player. Doing whatever it takes to help this team win. But at the same time, I use it as motivation. And I'm happy that I was able to make enough plays to put ourselves in a position to win this championship.
You said that last year you were trying to prove something, and this year you realized you didn't have to do that. So how do you refocus your mind? How did you do that?
I just went back to the basics. I knew what got me to this point, and that was hard work and dedication. And I never had to prove anything to anyone. In my first 7 years, I just went out and let the game take care of itself. And last year, I tried to prove something to everybody, and I played with a lot of hate, and that's not the way I play the game of basketball. I play with a lot of love, with a lot of passion, and that's what I got back to this year.
So I want to point out a couple of things. Come in and make sure I hit that like button. So this is the first championship LeBron James wins. Now, you guys can see the emotion LeBron James has on his face in this speech. Shout out to RIP to Stuart Scott, the great Stuart Scott. But y'all can see the joy that LeBron James has on his face. Y'all can see the excitement, all that. The reason why I say championships come first is because that's what you play for. You play for championships. Players understand when you go into training camp or you go into the new year, it's about one thing, is championships. But what we have done is because LeBron James doesn't have as many championships as people may like. They want to add on stuff because he don't fit, and you don't get the chance to change the rules, do what you want to do. You're not above anybody who's came before you. So he finally cracks and gets over the hump and wins a championship. And they beat the OKC Thunder in 5 games, a young OKC Thunder team, right, in 2012, where guys like Kevin Durant, who was 22, I believe, or 23, you had Russell Westbrook and James Harden were 22 and 21, right? Babies going up against a prime team in Miami with Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, who basically just all in all were just a, smarter, experienced, wiser team. I won't even say more talented, because that Thunder team was definitely talented, but they were just young. They were just, not able to, come over the hump. And OKC, they lost in 5 games. But the crazy part is, no one talks about, oh, Miami was beating up on a miniature Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden team. Nobody was talking about how they were beating up on them. They made a super team to try to beat them. They count that championship for LeBron, as they should. Nobody talks about how OKC was outmatched. I don't want to hear about no odds favorites about these series either, because you still got to go out there and play. And we have our eyes to look. OKC, talent-wise, yes. But they were never in the finals. You have 2 guys that went to multiple finals as well. They were already in their primes. They had the upper hand in that series. Nobody looked at. That's why Miami basically, I wouldn't say like beat them like bad every game, but they basically, you guys could tell, was the better team at this point, right? So that's what you had in Miami. They beat them 5 in 5 games. So you finally get over the hump. Great for you. Now you got to continuously keep that momentum going and win more championships. Now, again, he said not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. He said to a damn infinity. As y'all come in here, smash that like button. I still got 7 more finals to go, 6 more finals to go. Let's go into the next year against the Spurs. Back-to-back years, they faced the same team. Now, in the 13 NBA Finals, y'all know what happened. The Heat beat the Spurs in 7 games. Right? Right, both teams, it was funny is there was one game that one team looked better than the other team looked way better than the other team. Games 2 and 3 I'm talking about, and game 4. Right? But those final 3 games were so competitive and down to the wire. Especially that game 6. Y'all know what happened in that game 6. Y'all know exactly what happened in that game 6. If y'all don't remember what happened in game 6, allow me to jog y'all memory on the final seconds of that game. Right? Y'all should see what happened right here.
Should the Spurs foul? Should Miami go for the 3 right away? Just attack the basket. James catches, puts up the 3. Won't go. Rebound Bosh. Back out to Allen. His 3-pointer. Bang! Tie game with 5 seconds remaining. Spurs do not have a timeout. but the officials are going to review to see if Allen was behind the line. Chris Bosh with a huge offensive rebound. And now instant replay, enormous.
And Mike, Tim Duncan out of the game leads to the second shot, and clearly a three-point shot.
They confirmed that it was a three, and the Spurs had a chance to talk this over.
So, as y'all just seen, Ray Allen, Jesus, Shuttlesworth hit probably the most clutchest 3-point shot in NBA Finals history. We all saw what happened. Those were there. And by the way, this goes into also the years that LeBron was getting to the finals. See, he went to 8 straight finals. Let me also I'm going to piggyback something off of this after I make this point about this final, because this is where it all started at, right? So, Ray Allen comes and saves the day for the Miami Heat. Now, of course, he's on the team, but I recall this game was so over that they were already rolling the championship trophy out. And I'm not talking about for the Miami. I'm talking about this for the San Antonio Spurs. They were up 3-2, as y'all can see on the screen. They were up 3-2, and they were looking to win this championship. Now, this is the only championship Tim Duncan lost. And I'm getting sick and tired of this whole team accomplishment. When you're the best player and you're the leader and everything starts and ends with you, yes, it's a team accomplishment, but you are the reason, the front line of the accomplishment. So that goes to your leadership, that goes to your style of play, that goes to your ability to move people up to your level. That is with your greatness. So when you win and lose, that revolves and starts with you. All this, it's a team accomplishment, started really honestly with LeBron James losing. You didn't hear this throughout the rest, like the other players before that, because they didn't have to make that case. But back to my point, Ray Allen saved the day. Now, what if Ray Allen had missed this shot? Ray Allen didn't save LeBron and didn't do this. It'll look a lot different. Now, people may act like, oh, that's hate. No, it's the truth. If he didn't hit this shot, that's another loss on his record. That's another loss on his resume. That's how close he is to having another loss on his record. Because every time he loses in the finals, it's been blowouts every single time. Both times against the Spurs, the Mavericks, he got to 6 games. He looked pathetic in 2011, and then all the finals losses against the Warriors, they were all blowouts. He never every finals he got blew out in. Like he either underperformed or his team would just like he would be on the court. But I digress. This could have went south, but it didn't. LeBron got the Finals MVP, yada yada yada, and they went on to win Game 7. The Spurs had the opportunity to win Game 7. Kawhi Leonard missed the free throw. Mind you, we missed this game. So all in all, it's fair game. So let me point something out before I go into the next season. Now, he went to 8 straight finals. This goes to competition now. See, nobody wants to talk about the years of competition that LeBron James faced and didn't face. Now, I know you can't control who you play up against and all this stuff, but when you talk about who's the GOAT, all that stuff matters. If you're going to tell me this dude went to 8 straight finals and nobody else has done it, players that are better than him, in my personal opinion, I gotta ask why. Why did Michael Jordan go to 8 straight finals? Why didn't you know what I'm saying, Kareem went to 8 straight finals? Why didn't Kobe go to 8 straight finals? Why didn't Magic go to 8 straight finals? I don't know if he did go to 8 straight finals. I might be a little bit misguided, but what I'm saying is the level of competition in the conference matters on how many finals appearances you go to. Because at that time, the East was so weak starting in 2013 and beyond, it gave LeBron the opportunity to have those finals appearances. Right? Now, the year 2013, you might ask who the Miami Heat face, who would LeBron James face that year, who Miami Heat face, who would they play up against? So let me go ahead and show y'all real quick who they played up against. So we're gonna click the playoff series. My fault, y'all. So right here, you got the 2013 NBA playoffs, right? You got the Miami Heat versus the Indiana Pacers. This was his first year. And you know the best player on this team was? Paul George, PG. Paul George was the best player that they played up in that series. Of course, you had Roy Hibbert in the center position as well. I think he outscored PG in that series, but as far as the guy who was going up against LeBron offensively and defensively and Dwayne Wade, who was the more impactful player, it was Paul George. That's why he was the best player on the Indiana Pacers. You win 7 games against them. A young Paul George, I think, in his 3rd season. Right? You went up against Paul George in that series. You go against Chicago Bulls, the series before that, against D Rose in 2013. Right? Coming off his torn ACL, of course. So beat them in 5 games, very competitive. And mind you, you're the 1st seed. You're the 1st seed that year. Chicago, Derrick Rose, definitely one of the greatest younger players, but he never went into his prime. I'm just highlighting the players that he had to go up against. They were great, but they were up and coming. They weren't even in their prime yet. They weren't even established yet. They weren't even at their peak yet. You face the Milwaukee Bucks. You sweep them. And I think this was Giannis' rookie year, if I'm not mistaken. Either his rookie or his 2nd year, one of the two. But yet again, and they were the 8th seed. So the most talent you went up against, not just this year, but the next year, was Paul George. Because the next year, in 2013, 2014, was pretty much the same thing. And I don't want to go too ahead of myself. You played the Indiana Pacers again, and not only did you play them again, but you weren't even the best player in that series. It was PG. He led both teams in scoring. He averaged 24 points a game that series, as y'all can see right here. David West was behind him, Lance Stevenson, George Hill, Roy Hibbert, right? Good. And it's another player, too. He had a stacked roster. He had good role players around him. Very good role players. He outplayed you that series as far as a scoring aspect. LeBron averaged 22.8 points per game. You had Dwayne Wade. You still had Chris Bosh, who are still very, very, I would say, borderline all-star players. You had Ray Allen. Now, Ray Allen in Boston, 2 years removed, they claimed that as a big 4 with Ray Allen. So why didn't they call this a big 4 when they got him the first year? See, they called it a big 3 when they got Ray Allen. It should have been a big 4, the same big 4 you called KG and Paul Pierce. Because remember, in 2008, Ray Allen came to the Celtics. They won a championship. 2 years later, he goes right over to the Miami Heat. So how in the hell is, I'm not talking about this year, but the year before that, how is, when they not get Ray Allen, he helps them win the championship, their 2nd championship. How is not that considered a big 4? You had Rashard Lewis, Mario Chunk. You had a very talented team that year. This is 2013-14. And the best competition you played up against was Paul George. That was the best player in that you had to go up against that year. Some people may say, oh, the Toronto Raptors were this, they were that. You played the Brooklyn Nets. At that time, they had KG was pretty much done. Paul Pierce was done. You had Darren Williams on that team, if I'm not mistaken. That Brooklyn team, their first year in the new Barclays. You know what I'm saying? Like, development team. And then, of course, you had the Charlotte Bobcats in the first round. You were the 2nd seed that year. So these are the teams, some of the teams that he's going up against, that he's getting to all these finals. I want y'all to think about something before I go to the next year, 2014. The reason why he's going to all these finals is all the competitions in the West. See, if he was in the West all these years, he wouldn't be going to all these damn finals, because the level of competition isn't as high during last year's decade as it is this year's decade. So you are going up against the Paul Georges, the John Walls, the Derrick Roses, who are good. They were good, but that's a entirely different scheme to go up against, say, a Tim Duncan, a Dirk Nowitzki, right? Kobe Bryant. Could you imagine those guys that you have to go up against time in, time out? You think you're going to get to 8 finals? No, you're not. Same way those guys I just mentioned didn't get to 8 finals because the competition kept you from going over to get into the finals. But guess what? Every time you face teams in the finals in the West, that's why you have a losing record. That should explain it all, why you have a losing record, because you were playing against competition that was only in the Western Conference, not in the East. And this is a pre-recorded video. It's not live, y'all. So that's why y'all got me talking all this time. But once again, that's the 2013 year. Now you have a chance to do something historic, and that's to three-peat, which you didn't do, right? You never three-peated. Jordan and Kobe three-peated. You never did. And your second championship came at the hair of your chinny chin chin, but it still counts, and everybody else counts it. See, that's what you call being fair, but you want to take away finals that you got embarrassed in. Now, 2014 is another finals a lot of people just seem to just sweep under the rug. 2014 it wasn't as embarrassing as 2011, but the way they got ran out the gym, you can make a case that it was just as pathetic. Because remember, the year prior, the Heat were in the finals against the same team, and they went 7 games. I just told y'all, and I showed y'all that series belonged to the Spurs, and I knew when they faced them again that season. And what's funny is I was in college at this time. I was playing ball in college at this time. So I was in San Antonio when this was happening, and that whole entire city was amped up to get this matchup again because they knew they were the better team. They run you off the court in 5 games, right? You only win 1 game, and that's game 2. You won by 2 points. But outside of that, you got ran out the gym. Now, they were saying, well, Miami, Dwayne Wade was in his last legs, and Ray Allen didn't do nothing, yada yada. And that might be true. Dwayne Wade was dealing with lower extremity injuries, but they were still on the court. He may have not been the Dwayne Wade that, giving you 25 or 22 points a game the year before, but he still was on the court. He's being as impactful as he can. And this goes to also readjusting. But the Spurs were just so prepared, and everybody was so engaged. And you had Kawhi Leonard, I think when he was guarding LeBron James shot like under 35%, something ridiculous like that. Like, it was just too much for him to handle. But he got ran off the court. Now, from a statistics standpoint, people say LeBron James had such a great series, and that's always going to be the case for him. Even when his teams get demolished, it's all look at his statistics. Look at his stats. He averaged 28 points a game, 7.8 rebounds, 4 assists, 57% from the field, 51% from the 3, 79% from the line. They're going to say that. Now, yes, I do think there was ramifications for, certain things that were going wrong injury-wise, setbacks, things of that nature. I do believe that. But even if you look at the production in the finals from the Spurs, nobody cracked over 20 points. Nobody on the team cracked over 20 points. So this wasn't a super team. The Spurs were just a team. Tim Duncan was on his last legs. He had 2 more years and he was out the league. Ginobili was past his prime. Tony Parker was very good still, this was a time when Kawhi Leonard about to be the best player on the team. After this finals, it was now Kawhi's team. At this point, he got the Finals MVP, right? He was the Defensive Player of the Year at this point, back-to-back times. He was turning into an elite two-way player. He's getting more of the green light on San Antonio. This was now his team. All the other guys, basically were just, following his lead. But you see the points per game, 18, 17, 15, 14, 10. Nobody on the Spurs cracked over 20 points. They just played as a team. They had a system defensively, especially. And that's the type of teams LeBron struggles up against. No matter how much talent he has on his team, when there's a system that takes away from his skill set, then he struggles. No matter who's on his team. So this one, where this guy said, I'm going to put up here again, because he's the one that presumed me to do this video, put in the comment on my page talking about the Spurs, which has a prime dynasty Spurs in 07. No, your guy didn't show up. And then the 14th in 2013 was the lucky shot. And in 2014, they got destroyed, and that proved they knew that they had the better team all along. Now let's get into the last few other series and close this out. Now, 2015, right? The 2015 NBA Finals. And as y'all come here, smash that like button. LeBron faced the Golden State Warriors, and this is the time where the Warriors, I'm gonna have fun with this one. The Warriors became what they called a dynasty. Now, let me give y'all some clarity on this. The Warriors had not won a championship yet. This was the first year they were even in the finals together. The previous year, y'all know who the Warriors were? They were first round exits, and y'all know who they lost to? They lost to the Clippers. Chris Paul in 7 games. I remember that series. That was what they were the year before. They had Mark Jackson. They brought in Steve Kerr. They won a championship. Okay? So, you didn't have a team that was already winning championships. They were at a first round exit in the Western Conference, okay? Where all the competition was. This is another year, too. LeBron James got away with highway robbery, by facing the Toronto Raptors, facing the Washington Wizards. Right? Good teams, but that's a whole different animal from what you had to deal with in the West. So again, I'm highlighting why all these finals he keeps going to, and then he keeps losing because he's not facing the competition till he gets there. But I digress. The Warriors were not proven yet, but they didn't create a super team. They basically built their team in the draft. Steph Curry was drafted by the Warriors. Klay Thompson was followed up, and then here comes Draymond Green. That was the order. None of those guys were stars, right? They're not Klay might be a Hall of Famer. Draymond might be a Hall of Famer, but these guys, Draymond was a second-round pick. Klay Thompson, good draft player, but he wasn't a lottery. Steph Curry was the only lottery in his draft, coming out of Davidson. Klay Thompson came out of Washington State, which is a mid-major, and Draymond Green came out of Michigan State, which I think he won the national championship, but he was a second-round pick. So if they get success and they get there, they did it organically. That's nothing but respect. You don't take away from that. But I want to say something about this series. So Cleveland, Obviously, lose Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love to injury. Those are his second and third best player. So now it becomes, okay, what do you expect LeBron to do? He lost two of his best, co-stars and players. I understand that. That's why I say for this finals, if there's any excuse I want to give, it would be this one. But, however, I got to look at something else. You were up 2-1 in this series. You're facing a Golden State team that hasn't won anything yet. You have the experience. You have the championships. 2 of them. You've been to 3 finals or 4 finals at this point. This team ain't been to none. Andre Iguodala didn't go to no finals. He was the finals MVP. Steph Curry didn't win. Draymond Green didn't win. Klay Thompson. None of these guys went to the finals. So you do have the experience there. Now, you got past game 3, you had a 2-1 lead, which is magnificent in itself. So it's kind of, ironic that it got to this point. But if there's any time I'll give a pass when key players are injured. So I can't even argue with that. But then look at Dallas, what they did with Dirk Nowitzki. His second best player was out. Caron Butler, who was their second best scoring threat on Dallas. Dirk Nowitzki still beat that prime Miami Heat team. So, again, hell, even the Lakers. People talk about 08. Oh, Kobe lost in 08. He was missing 2 of his starters. Andrew Bynum was hurt and Trevor Ariza were hurt. They both were hurt in that series against the Boston Celtics. Nobody brings Kobe's injuries up. So I need clarity. If you're going to use that for LeBron, do I get to use that for Kobe in 08? I don't think y'all going to like that because it doesn't fit y'all narrative. But we can't have it both ways. If you want to take off this finals loss for LeBron, I'm going to take off that 08 loss for Kobe because he was missing 2 of his key players. He was missing Andrew Bynum, who was their best rebounder, and he's missing Trevor Ariza, who was their best two-way player and their starting small forward. They traded him for Ron Artest, who was an all-star. While Boston was fully healthy. And he still took him 6 games. 1-2 out of the 4. Do I get to mention the issues that Kobe and Shaq had in 04? Personal issues. Against the Pistons, a team they should have no business losing to. That there were personal friction amongst the two. Do I get to use that as an excuse? No. You got beat. Okay, no problem. LeBron, you got beat as well. So 2015 happens. Right? Now, we know what happened in 2016. 2016, obviously, come back from a 3-1 lead. People say, well, Draymond got suspended in Game 5. My thing is, even though he got suspended, you had Game 7 to win as well. Game 6 and 7, you didn't get it done, and you gave up a 3-1 lead. So anytime you give up a 3-1 lead, that's basically you there's no one to blame but your team and your coach. I mean, you basically you were good enough to, handle them, and you just that's a you problem. So I can't even use that as an excuse. But 2016, that's arguably going down for LeBron's greatest championship because of the degree of difficulty, and that really reamped his GOAT status to the point where he even said to himself, made him the greatest player of all time. And that tells me everything I need to know about how he truly feels about this whole debate, that it's become just a marketing scheme. That if I say it enough times, or if, my media people or my team says it enough times, it don't matter what's honest and what's real. It's as long as everybody else thinks it is real. And that's where you start getting he's top 2 and top 3 and all this nonsense, because he has started the campaign of being the greatest player of all time. That's how this works. We live in a narrative-based world where anybody with a microphone can say whatever they want to say. And if you see it so many times, it deposits into your brain. you start believing it. Oh, maybe he is top 2. Maybe he is top 3. Yeah, he got 6 finals losses, but it's a team accomplishment. Even though it ain't never been done, in NBA history. Yeah, LeBron deserves a pass. No, he don't deserve no damn pass. You got to go through the same process everybody else. You're not above the rules. You're not above the law. Period. And that's where I get irritated, because I watched Kobe Bryant have to be here until he went without Shaquille O'Neal. Well, that's all you was somebody I carried. Well, he proved he can do it without Shaq and do it with more times, and people still want to take away his titles, even though 2 out of those 3 championships, he was the better player. Shaq was the more dominant force, but look at those playoff series before the finals. Kobe Bryant was the one destroying Sacramento, destroying San Antonio when Shaq was fouling out and had to, and Kobe was the one closing the games. But because the media has such an axe to grind with the dude, for reasons I don't understand. Well, I do understand. He's trying to be like Mike, or he's arrogant, he's selfish. The usual. Nothing that has anything to do with basketball. And when you ask people who don't have Kobe ranked in their top 5, just listen to them talk. It has nothing to do with basketball, his ability, or his skill set. It's always something outside of it. And that's why I'm like, okay, I know what the motive is now. I know what's going on. But when it comes to LeBron, I can name several reasons why he don't deserve to be in top 5, and it's all nothing but basketball. It ain't got nothing to do with him personal. But 2016 obviously was the marketing of the start of the GOAT campaign. ESPN talking about it. Shannon Sharp, Nick Wright, his buddies, Rich Paul campaigning for it. I can't be based off of my resume, because I have too many blemishes on my resume as far as wins and losses. I can't eclipse the GOAT by my basketball. So let me go ahead and try to politic my way inside. Politic my way. 2017, 2018 comes. The Warriors grab Kevin Durant. Now, this is the funny thing. Again, Kevin Durant, all he did was take LeBron James' blueprint and outdid him. But again, no one got on LeBron James when he beat up on a young OKC team. And they get on LeBron James when they actually did, had his teammate hit, the most clutchest shot in NBA history, in NBA Finals history. Those wins count. Okay, no problem. Just like those wins count, those losses count, them L's count. Now, the Spurs, you lost to the Spurs in 2013. You beat the Spurs in 2013, and they mollywopped you so bad in 2014 that you left. And I personally believe you left because you felt Dwayne Wade wasn't that caliber player no more. Well, 2 seasons later, he becomes an all-star. So I personally believe that LeBron's time was out in Miami. He was pretty much done. He goes back home to Cleveland. He gets to the finals right away, 2 years in a row. He wins one of them, and in 2017, obviously the Warriors put the they put the ass whooping on the Cavs. And I'm talking about belts to ass to the point where, Kevin Durant outplayed. First of all, KD outplayed LeBron James from a scoring standpoint. And if you just watch with your eyes, KD just was the more efficient player. He had 35 points per game. And, the Cavs just got ran off the court. Now, it had nothing, and this is another thing. People say, well, the Cavs were just so much better, or the Warriors were just so much better than the Cavs. They had better players. Like this guy, like I said on my comment section, said that, you can't count the 2017, 2018. No one was winning against the Warriors. That team was the most powerful team the NBA has ever seen. That to me, I don't see how that could be. I don't see how that could be. And let's just say, for instance, let's just give an example as they were. My thing is, you keep saying that this is the greatest player of all time, where he's top 2, top 3. And you had a Kyrie Irving this year in 2017 who outplayed Steph Curry the year before. And you got a Kevin Love who was a walking 2020 guy. You had a J.R. Smith. You had a Tristan Thompson. Those 3, 4, 5 players were able to match as far as talent and ability to KD, Steph, Draymond, and Klay Thompson. Again, Draymond and Klay Thompson, they were drafted, they were built up to be good players. They were role players. Klay Thompson was arguably years later the best two-way shooting guard in the league. But from a talent perspective, Cleveland matched up very well with Golden State. The problem why they kept losing is because of the system that Golden State ran. Ball movement, three-point shooting, and they had a very good defense as well, quiet as kept. The Cavs' system of play was not conducive of that. Again, who was the coach of that team? Tyronn Lue. What type of offense does Tyronn Lue like to run? ISO. What is Kyrie Irving? What was he doing all throughout that series? ISOing. What was LeBron James doing at that series? ISOing. What was J.R. Smith doing in that series? Getting up a lot of three-point shots. That's what he was doing. And then guys like Kevin Love, Chris Bosh, their production seems to go down. Every third star that he has, their production seems to go down. And I'm not even talking about the scoring aspect per se, just the scoring aspect, because I feel like just because of LeBron James's presence, you're going to have to sacrifice your game. But at the same time, what are you doing to sacrifice your game for the betterment of the team? This notion that he makes everybody better, I mean, just based off of this list right here, from a scoring aspect, their scoring goes down fine. But when you actually just visibly watch the games, I don't see that. How could he make Dwayne Wade better when Dwayne Wade gave the keys to him on how to win? He didn't make Chris Bosh better. Chris Bosh was already an all-star. He had to sacrifice his game for LeBron. Kevin Love was already a rocking 2020 guy in Minnesota, already an all-star. You recruited him to come to Cleveland. Him and Chris Bosh, very similar. Got a lot of brute blame from the masses because they weren't doing more. Well, shit, when you in a system where LeBron James dominates the ball, I mean, how much more can you do? It's not around you no more. And maybe that's fine for a guy like LeBron James. But the narrative is always it's the third star. Everywhere that goes around him is always something they got to do more. Or even the second star, Kyrie Irving. Points per game goes down, of course. But Kyrie's the type of person, he did something for LeBron that he needed. LeBron needed Kyrie Irving to close the finals of 2016, and he needed Kyrie Irving to close games. So I don't know how the hell he made Kyrie better. How did he make Anthony Davis better? Maybe Anthony Davis on a mental standpoint, as far as him, what's the word? Preparation, I guess you can say, when he came on the Lakers, because he never won a championship yet. He had already had the ability. He made things easy for LeBron just the same way LeBron made things easier for him. Anthony Davis was the best two-way player, arguably next to Kawhi in the league. He was giving you 25 up in New Orleans with like 11 rebounds and 2 blocks and all that. Y'all saw the playoffs in the bubble. He led every statistical category up into the finals. He was already a great talent. Russell Westbrook, you already know what his resume is. And then Luka Doncic, as y'all see right now, had his team in the finals last year. So who did he make better? I can make a case he's made guys worse. Russell Westbrook made him worse because of his level, his style of play. And Luka Doncic, they both play the same way as LeBron. But you made them better. Now, once again, when you have another star beside you, you have to share the basketball. I'm not saying you don't. But what I'm telling y'all is that for me personally, this whole notion that he makes everybody is just flat out BS to me. So the 2017 and 2018 finals, like I said, if you're going to sit up here and tell me it was because of the Warriors basically just being so dominant and had us over the Cavs, no. That 2017 team, and from a talent ability standpoint, was dead even. But the problem was that LeBron James' system was going up against the Golden State Warriors' ball movement, three-point shooting, and defensive system. And when you have a team that understands their identity, how to play, and they do it at a high level, you're going to lose every time. Same way they lost to the Spurs, who are a better IQ team and relied on their defensive play and their IQ to beat you. Dallas Mavericks, you saw what Mark Cuban said. He basically took LeBron out of the game because he couldn't shoot. Now, you got to give LeBron credit. Now he can actually shoot the ball better, much better than he was when he came to the league. But those are things I look at when I call this man the greatest player of all time. You can't be the GOAT and you have deficiencies like free throw shooting. To this day, this man still has free throw discrepancies. And they're adamant. They're like you just see it. Like it happens to this day, right? So free throw shooting. That's why I'm looking at. So maybe if he didn't have all these different deficiencies, going back to his earlier years, he was able to close out some of these championships. But people want to chalk it up to, the team wasn't good enough. No. That's not it at all. He wasn't good enough to close. He wasn't good enough to lead. He wasn't good enough in those moments to outdo the other opposing player on their team. In 2018 in the finals, Kyrie Irving goes away. Obviously, they have Kevin Love still there. But that's what goes to show you how important Kyrie Irving was to that team. But yet, these are the same people that try to sit there and say, well, Kyrie Irving only won because of LeBron. Kyrie Irving went to the finals only because of LeBron. What's ironic is Kyrie just went to the finals last year. What's ironic is that people don't want to bring up Kyrie Irving's injuries on why he hasn't made more trips in the finals. In 2019, he went to the finals, or 2018, the year he left, he could have went to the finals again if he didn't get hurt. He was a top player in that season. He went to the finals last year. So, yeah, you got swept in 2018, but there it goes to show you this whole thing about Kyrie Irving wasn't doing nothing, or he would just ride the coattails of LeBron. Same way people say Kobe's riding the coattails of Shaq. You got your ass blitzed in the finals. And the only person you lost was Kyrie Irving. So it sounds like to me you need to start appreciating your teammates. You still had K-Love, you had J.R. Smith, you had Tristan Thompson. You know, Richard Jefferson, he was out. But you brought in George Hill. Right? You got younger, you got more athletic too. I remember they picked up Jordan Clarkson. They picked up Larry Nance Jr. They picked up Rodney Hood. They picked up younger pieces. They picked up George Hill, who if I'm not mistaken, about, I want to say a year or two before George Hill, when he was on Utah, and he beat Chris Paul. They beat us they beat the Clippers. I wasn't with them at the time, but they beat the Clippers in the first round in 7 games. And George Hill's defense on Chris Paul was a huge reason why. George Hill was a starting caliber point guard. You picked him up for a reason. So you had him on your team as well. So it is what it is. Those are all of his losses. The bottom line is that we only talk about finals losses that are a big deal. They matter because it pertains to him. Because unfortunately, his wins and losses, they come with asterisks, but nobody else's does. I gotta hear all these excuses like he's not, I gotta hear all these excuses from people talking about, LeBron James didn't have this, LeBron James didn't have that. I just broke it down almost for 2 hours. He had opportunities. The only time I'll give him a pass and take one of these finals losses off was 2015 when he was really missing players. I'm not giving him a pass for finals that he had everybody available, and either he wasn't good enough or he wasn't able to lead his team and his style of play wasn't good enough. You think every finals in NBA history was won by the team that was, quote unquote, the more talented team? That 2010 finals against the Boston Celtics, y'all think the Lakers were more talented than that Boston Celtics team? They had 4 Hall of Famers on the Celtics. They had KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Rajon Rondo on that team. Kobe Bryant was the only Hall of Famer. And you can make a case the only reason Pau Gasol is going to be Hall of Fame because not just his NBA career, but his international career. You got good pieces around with Andrew Bynum, Lamar Odom, and Sasha Vujicic, and Shannon Brown, Jordan Farmer. All that's true. Derek Fisher, all that's true. But as far as talent, come on, man. The Celtics were more talented than the Lakers. However, they had a guy that led and upheld their team. And not to mention they were more tougher, quote unquote, than the Lakers. That's called leadership. So you don't get the chance to take away losses because we can play that game. I have to go through the list of all the guys who took losses who were either in a situation where they dealt with some personal stuff, personal issues. But nobody is going to do that because they don't have to. Only when it comes to this guy right here that we do it for. We do it for him. We simply do it for him all the time. We don't do it for nobody else. Because this finals loss is a losing record. We gotta take wins out. We gotta add wins on, moral victories, and take away losses from his record for him to fit it. No. I don't roll like that. I don't roll like that. If you got beat, you got beat. Come back the next year better. Hell, even 2020 in the bubble. Jimmy Butler got 2 wins off of that. Again, another example. LeBron James, when he has the upper hand in his favor, nobody's saying nothing about, him having a stacked deck. Nobody's saying a word. They just say, oh, he's so great. And that Miami Heat team went to the finals that next year under Jimmy Butler's realm. Got them 2 games. Anybody got time for all that, man? At the end of the day, man, I got LeBron James in my top 5. That's not hating. That's not being disrespectful. That's just being honest. You have the resume, but the holes in that resume and the way we nitpick is when you have to look a little bit deeper. So I hope that y'all understood where I'm coming from and y'all enjoyed this. We shall be going live here very shortly. But until next time, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, pull out, pace, out of here like swimwear.